This conference will now
expertise
be recorded.
to bring to the job. It's not all of it spent in Scotland, but once I had the chance, I stepped in. Thanks.
So I haven't been a politician. I haven't held office. I'm always right there though, for some reason. But I've been a volunteer a lot. I volunteered at SES for maybe 10 years. I was part of the PTA. I was a Girl Scout leader for many years and then a Girl Scout volunteer. I want to say 15 years of Girl Scouting. My girls went all the way, one of them went all the way through. I took this special assistant job task from Gary this year to work on our grant for the town hall because it was a lot. Let me tell you, that federal grant was just brutal. So I've done grant writing for the town, and I've done grant writing for Parish Hill. Several grants up there. And I was a founding member of the Parish Hill PTA, or FACT PTSA now, which has done amazing work and is very involved in state matters for education. And I'm drawing a blank, but I'm at all the meetings, always on top of it. I just haven't had a lot of titles. So thank you.
Thank you. Dana, you have anything to add?
Yes. I think some small municipalities rely heavily on volunteerism, especially the smaller the town, the more volunteers you need. This town here, we have volunteers in the fire department, volunteers helping out the school, volunteers in all the commissions and boards. So the smaller the town, I think the more they have to rely on volunteers. Myself, I've been a volunteer since I was 14 years old. I started in Ellington and the Ellington Hamlets, and then I went to Willington. I did a bunch of the fire departments and all that stuff in Willington. But as when I came to Scotland, I moved into town and started building my house. And while the process of building my house, I volunteered for the fire department. And then a couple of years or two later, I became a fire marshal in town. And I've been getting up in the middle of the night for the last 25, 30 years for ambulance calls. So I had the accident for ambulance calls or fire calls, going to work without any sleep or very little sleep like the other fire department people and the other, and just to be out there to be helpful to people. The other people in the boards and the commissions in town, they get up and they go out, go to, on a night, might be a snowy night, might be a cold, and rather sit there and watch TV, but they're getting up and going down to serving the boards in town and help out. So my hat's off to all the volunteers in town, but I've been a volunteer for the last 50 years at some form or other. I don't think since I was a teenager I've ever been not a volunteer in at least one or two departments. So I think it's an important part of running a small town. And I think that prepares you to working with people and how to get the most out of people voluntarily, prepares you for the job. But for the selectmen here, we're going to ask for people to volunteer in community involvement. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, you have 1 minute.
Okay, I'll just briefly add, I've probably written 50 federal proposals in my life. And you're right, it is quite daunting. They're like a cube of paper. Probably will continue to hire help with that. I'll just say, we see the potential right here, right? You're all here. As I said in the beginning, that's great. And I sense that this is something new. There were a lot of people who were disappointed in attendance at a recent town meeting. But if it's going to be like this in the future, then we won't have to be disappointed. So thanks for coming. Hope we'll see you again.
Yeah, I have two more things. I am the administrator of the Scotland Residents Facebook page, the co-administrator. It's been a voluntary position, but it's been a very consuming position. It's a good, more than part-time job, I can tell you that. And also coached and volunteered for SFC Little League for 10 years. And I'm sure there's more, but take my flyer and see. Thank you.
Dana, you have 1 minute.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, not only did my volunteer, it gives me a lot of experience, but my work experience in fire department and engineering, as my past in engineering, public safety, construction, budgeting, and I've also had experience in grant writing, supervision, and community service. But, being in engineering, you look at the problem and say, what can I do to fix the problem? And you do that. So I've spent 15 years in engineering, public safety, what's wrong? How do we have a car that someone trapped in or a building, what do we do to either put out the fire or cut somebody out of the car? So I think my past experience has been working with people, figure out what we got to do, work together. The fire department, one big team. We get out there and we got to work together, team, do a job. But I'm hoping the town of Scotland get the people involved and work as a team to lower our taxes and make it a better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 3.
This is for Kim to start.
What kind of economic development would you work to encourage while at the same time preserving the rural character of Scotland? Scotland here, not across the sea.
Right. Here first, then there. So this one I do know. This is what we need to do is promote, because now we have fiber optics. So we can have telecommuters work here, work from home. We can have small businesses that don't rely on highways, because the answer is always, we can't have business because we don't have a major highway. Well, we don't need that anymore with small businesses like payroll companies and things like that. So my idea would be to promote the town, to provide incentives for these businesses to come. It would be tax incentives if it's my decision, because that's what you have to do to get them in. Towns all over the country really are doing this right now. They're even paying people to come move to their towns. They're giving out $10,000 if you buy a house
We'll
in
be
this
doing that in our town, I think.
So I would give out incentives to bring in small business and support the junkers, the crafters, the cottage industry people. We're a small town. That's what we have to do. We have to support the small businesses if we want to keep our town the way that it seems like everyone wants to keep it. We can't bring in a big Walmart or anything like that.
Well, anyway.
That's what I would do. Thanks.
Thank you. Dana, you're next.
Thank you. Well, one of the main reasons why we're having a hard time attracting new business is because of our high tax rate. So I agree with Kim, we should come up with some type of incentive program, where they're graduated to get the people to come into town. And we need to advertise our town. You go out there and some, whether online or some periodicals, where this is a good town to live. This is why you should bring your business in town. We want to get advertise for certain businesses that we want in this town. We want to have maybe a dental office or, some type of a workout place or something small that fits in the community. We don't want to have a nice, or like Kim said, a big Walmart or some McDonald's sitting in the middle of town. So in order to do that, sometime we're going to have to talk to the zoning commission and see what they can do to possibly change, be up to the town to vote on it. Change how we can actually make the town more attractive to businesses. I know some of the zoning regulations, like they only allow 6 cars a day for that particular business. And that's just, I live on Route 14. It has, hundreds of cars going by a day. To restrict somebody to 6 cars a day to be, quite a bit. But depending on where it is, it would be all depending, But we're sort of like an island right now in Scotland. If you look at all the business, all the towns around them, you go to Hampton, you go to Canterbury, they all have a lot of businesses, which help bring down their tax rate. Some place like Zlotnick's in Chaplin, that claims almost $50,000 a year in taxes. You go to maybe a Dollar General and something, that's like almost $40-something thousand a year in taxes. So I'm not advocating we put a, Cumberland Farms across the street from my house, but I think there are certain businesses that we can look at that will fit to this town. ultimately, I think the voters have to decide what businesses they want in town. Whether, they want to have some type of small, and I understand if they don't have some type of businesses, that our tax rate is going to continue to be somewhat high. More business is going to have an effect on our tax rate. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, all true. If you look at the businesses that are here now, they're, very consistent with the character of the town. We have the saw shop, we have a sawmill, we have a campground, we have a sewing shop, little liquor store, and we had the general store before, which was kind of nice too. Something like that would be great. It'd be wonderful to have a restaurant and a pub, But the population density is low. It's truly aren't near major highways. So the question of, how to attract businesses and how to get them to think this is the right place to be is a little bit challenging. I think it is possible actually to get economic development grants that would help us provide incentives, do site work and things like that. And yes, we do probably have to think about offering tax breaks. And as far as the zoning is concerned, most of the town is now zoned rural, and you'd need, a waiver in many cases. That's something that, that can happen, that the BZC can do. But we could also think about changing the zoning to make that easier and smoother. And I think we do need to talk about all of those strategies. But other than that, I don't have any genius idea to add to what Kim and Dana have said. We need to find ways to do it, and that's basically all we can do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that's, Kim, do you have 1 minute for rebuttal?
No, I'll let it go.
Dana?
I'll pass.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add. We just said it all.
No, that's
Yeah.
good. Thanks. So on to the next question. And this will be, Dana, you go first. Ready? Where do you stand with the current capital expense plan that's in place, including works and, including public works and fire department?
Well, our capital expense plan just took a hit. We took $750,000 and put them in an emergency fund.
Can you hear Dana in the back?
I'm sorry. Our capital fund, as everybody knows, took a really big hit. We had to transfer $750,000 into the emergency fund to pay for the temporary bridge and to pay for the emergency bridge. So at this point in time, we need to continue to do what we can do to save it in the future. But hopefully we're going to get some type of grant to replace the money we took out of our capital fund. We're looking to get some from emergency funding from the town or from maybe even from the federal government to replace that money we've spent on the bridges. But right now, I think we have around $150,000 left in the non-recurring fund, and we have a little bit left in the school recurring. So basically we have very little capital fund left unless we get some type of reimbursement. But if we don't get the reimbursement, we're looking at trimming off some of the project in our town hall. And we have to trim back 20% of our town hall renovations that were expected to go because of the fact that we don't have the matching funds now in our capital that was spent on the bridges. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, that's a very sad irony. And basically, to explain what Dana just said a little better, the Community Investment Fund grant that we received from the state for the town hall renovation was based on the assumption that we had a certain amount of capital reserves, and we don't anymore. Therefore, that grant has been suspended, and we either need to find $500,000 in a hurry, or we need to scale back the town hall renovation. That's a tough situation. And it would be possible to take out a short-term loan, and that wouldn't cost very much in interest. It wouldn't probably affect the tax rate. But if we were to need a long-term loan, it would be very unfortunate, and it would cost us a lot of money. So yes, we have to get the state to solve this problem as soon as possible. The clock is ticking. And you know who I'm looking at. As far as the fire department, we're working on a merger with Canterbury. Hope very much that will happen. It will certainly make the public safety more cost effective. It might save us a little bit of money, but we'll certainly get better coverage and better service, and the capital costs will be shared. Public Works, we need a truck, we need a lawnmower. So that's money we're going to have to find. Where do I stand with it? We have to do it. That's all I can say.
Thank you. Kim?
So yes, we cannot stand with our current capital expense plan until we figure out if we're gonna have the money to follow through with it. I feel cautiously optimistic that we're gonna get those grants to replace that money. We have a lot of politicians working on it for us, so fingers crossed. But as far as the public works goes, I already have started investigating, looking for grants for the public works equipment. There seems to be some trucking grants that I actually just found this week. So my goal for public works would be as much grants as I can get for it, because we need it. We need it. We have to do it one way or another. We have to give them the equipment they need to do their job. So, or his job, since we only have one person in public works at the moment. So, thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Dana, 1 minute for.
Thank you, Barbara. Maybe explain that a little bit clearer. As far as the Public Works Department, we're lucky we have Bill. He's been able to keep the old equipment running for a pretty long time and repairing it himself. Bill won't last forever there. He may retire someday, but hopefully the next person is able to do the same thing. The fire department used to get their capital equipment, but Dan Stein would just go out and check all the papers. We used to have a lot of used equipment here in the firehouse, find good used equipment. So that may be something that the Public Works may have to look at. Let's say maybe looking at some type of leasing program, lease to buy, purchase at the end when they get done. But Ken's right, there are some grants out there. Maybe that's possible. As far as the fire department, they've been really doing a great job is getting grants. They just got another one, safer grant for $300,000 for over the next 4 years. And they just received a grant for some equipment. So I think we're moving forward, and I guess my time's up, so I'll say thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add, thanks to Bill. Maybe we can at least persuade him to stay on and keep doing equipment maintenance, if nothing else. I won't speak for him. But you can't keep that truck running forever. So we're gonna have to find that money.
Thank you. Kim?
No, good, thanks.
All ready for the next question?
I guess so.
Bart, you're up. How would you utilize shared service agreements?
Shared service, that means with other towns, I take it. As I've said, this is something we need to do, right? The problem is we're small. And the way to get bigger is to join forces with our neighbors. It has occurred to me that this is something that could happen with Public Works. As I say, we're trying to make it happen with the fire department. New England Council of Governments, Northeast Connecticut Council of Governments, I'm sorry. I haven't heard that, they're doing a whole lot for us. A lot of talk there, not a lot of action. They are doing our animal control. I don't know if people are happy with that or not. If not, let us know. But, that's, probably cheaper than our doing it ourselves. If there is, we participate in the Eastern Highlands Health District, so that's something we don't have to do ourselves. Again, people aren't totally happy with that, let us know. I think I will certainly participate in the Northeast Connecticut Council. I will see if we can't get more to actually happen with that. I'll talk with our neighboring towns, see if there's interest in doing things. I think it's difficult if you don't have an effective council of governments. So that's the challenge. See if we can make them more effective.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I know I've said it before, but I don't have money. I am good at this. I am good at coupon shopping. I am good at making deals. I am good at sharing expenses and getting my friends to buy something when there's 2 for 1 and each of us take one, because that's how we survive at the Martin House. That's how I stayed home, pretty much home with my kids when they were in school, because you can't live on one salary anymore. And we did, because I can do it. And I would utilize every shared service that I could get my hands on with other towns, starting with encouraging the schools, which I think they're already interested in looking at central offices again. Starting right there, we could save a significant amount of money if we could go back into central office, which there were problems with a long time ago, but that has changed, and Chaplin's very happy with it. So we could be too, possibly. And then public works, for sure. I mean, there has to be some way that we can share some of the public works services or equipment or something. There has to be a way. But if there is, I guarantee you I will find it, because that's what I do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Dana?
I believe there've already been some sharing. The fire department does a lot of sharing. There are already agreements, and they're called mutual aid agreements. And when we had our tower truck, we certainly went into the neighboring town with a tower truck. We have our tanker truck. We go to help out with another town or a water piece. So fire department's been sharing all along. We've been helping out Canterbury quite a bit now with the ambulance. They're having a hard time getting the ambulance coverages. So we've been sharing our ambulance resource with the town of Canterbury quite a bit. The school does sharing already. Our superintendent shares herself with town of Scotland and town of Andover. So she knows how to share, and she certainly does whatever she can. And maybe at certain jobs, like you have to have a certain speech therapist or whatever. And they can have certain days in Scotland, certain days in Hampton or whatever. Public works, I think we can look into that. That hasn't been shared too much that I know of, but we can look at things. Like say we're buying. I know we're on the slate to buy a new lawnmower. Mower, and this comes springtime, truck to deliver. They can maybe share that with the town of Hampton, or we have a little bit of a lift truck for trimming trees off Wickham Wires. Maybe we could share that with them, and they have something that we need, they can share with us. But I think, Bill certainly, an open relative suggestions, and maybe Bill can think of what we can share. Maybe even something simple as, you got a night and you got a couple of icy spots. You send out one truck that hits the icy spots in Hampton, hits the icy spots in Scotland, where they're in the northern end of town with heights, and we don't have to roll somebody in the middle of the night. And so we could alternate nights, sending someone out to do some sanding. So there might be some opportunities to share. I've never really done much digging into sharing on the Public Works Department, but I think it's certainly worth investigating. Thank you.
Right. So yes, I'm all for it. Yep. Keep in mind that Public Works is only 5.7% of the budget. So even if we could get that down, it's not going to make a big difference. And public safety is, I think, 5.2%. So, so these are areas where sharing can reduce costs, but keep in mind, 2/3 of the budget is public education. So these are much smaller, smaller expenses. Again, I'm all for it. I'm just want people to know that it's not going to solve our financial problems.
Thank you. Kim?
I was gonna pass, but I just want to address the fact that 2/3 of every town's budget is education. Actually, it's more like 70% for most towns. So I think we came in at 67 this year, so we're actually lower than average for the amount of our budget going to education. And they do a lot of sharing, and we can do it. We can do it. We can utilize these agreements. I think all of us want to do that. And also one last thing, when he says it's only 5.2% of our budget, or it's 5.6% of our budget, it's a drop in the bucket. I hear that all the time. It's only $1,000. It's not going to change anything in the town. Well, those things all add up. You know, if you can save 1%, save it. They add up over time, and it will make a difference. So I would cut every penny that I can.
Thank you. Dana?
I'd say I agree with Kimberly a lot and Bart, that you should do whatever we can do with sharing. Every little bit helps. Whether it's $1,000 here or $500 here, if we can do it and we get the same results, let's try to do it. Thank you.
Kim? You're next.
Oh, boy.
What do you consider to be the town's biggest issue? And how would you fix it?
At the moment,
Right now, today.
bridges. Bridges are our biggest issue, and paying for bridges. Paying for temporary bridges. We apparently, at the moment, we're in good shape for paying for permanent bridges, but getting the money back that we've put into the temporary solution is our biggest issue today, I would say, because we need to restock those funds, funds that we cleaned out to pay for the temporary bridge. So that is my answer in a nutshell. That's our biggest issue today, is getting our accounts built back up, hopefully with money that doesn't come from us.
Thank you. Dana?
I would agree with Kim. Right now in our town, the biggest issue we have is the 3 bridges that collapsed, and the way we need to focus on somehow recovering that money. I think, I know we've done on Facebook there, you try to get people to write in to the state legislature to get money back. So far, that's been successful. I'm hoping that, if I happen to be elected, I'm going to certainly try. Maybe see if I can set up a meeting with the governor. Like I said, they seem to have money for cities whenever they got a flooding problem, or where they seem to have no problem coming up with money. And I see them actually bond money for lights on a track field in one of the cities. And that can't be as important as our bridges and our tax base. But that, I agree with that. That's our number one issue at this point. Number 2 certainly would be the renovations in the town hall. Thank you.
Bart?
Yeah, well, if you read the Facebook page, it's actually animal control. But of course, the fiscal challenges. This is not a wealthy town, right? I think our median income, household income is about $56,000, which is not in the top 10%. It's not even in the top 50%. Median income in the country is 76,000. And that means that the taxes really are difficult for many people to afford. So everything comes together around that. And I think everything we've been discussing, that yes, the bridges, we've got to get that money back. We've got to have a more cost-effective way of educating our kids. We've got to save money where we can on public safety and public works, all of that. Because really the sustainability of the town is what's at issue here. If the taxes are high, that means the property values are lower. That means people are less likely to want to come and live here. So it creates a vicious cycle that is going in the wrong direction. And we need to apply our energies to all of these problems in order to fundamentally solve that one. I think people understand what, okay, I don't have time to explain the mill rate and all of that. But yeah, okay. All of these converge on that essential problem, is what I would say.
Thank you. Kim, you have 1 minute.
I would say that it's somewhat being resolved because of the reevaluation. So when all of your property values go up, when the reevaluation is completely, then our mill rate will go down because it's going to cost the same amount of money to run the town, whether it's the mill rate or your property, how much you're being taxed on. Your taxes won't go down, but the mill rate will go down and people will want to say, oh, look, their mill rate went down, their taxes went down. Not true. So, I mean, we'll get the mill rate down, but that won't help us too much. So, we just, I don't think it's our biggest issue today. I think getting that money back for the bridges is. So.
Thank you.
Basically, to make it short, everybody's time important. Yeah, get our bridges fixed, but let's say the tax rate in the town is pretty high. But like I say, it's not actually the rate, it's with how much money we actually spend out of our budget to support this town. Because of our population being a small town and still needing all the same services that a large town is, our tax rate is high. And plus we have some type of business coming into town. And to help offset that, we're going to continue to have somewhat high taxes. Cut the costs of very bones, but we still have to give essential services to people, still have to educate our children, and we have to do that with the best we can with a lot of money we get from the town people. And right now, most of the towns is single family houses and not a lot of business to put in, a lot of money to put into our taxes. Thank you.
Mark?
Okay, yes, so the mill rate is a number that is the amount of dollars you pay for every $1,000 of the appraised value of your property. So you multiply the mill rate by the appraised value of your property, and that's where your taxes are calculated. And for some reason, the appraised value is 70% of what the appraiser thinks you can sell it for. I don't know how that makes any sense, but that's what it is. So yes, so our appraisals are going to go up. The mill rate will go down. Your taxes won't go down because the way they calculate the mill rate is they back into it, right? What is the total budget that the town has to spend? What is the amount of money in the grand list, which is all of the taxable property in town? Divide the budget by the grand list and you get the mill rate. So don't worry about the mill rate so much. Worry about what you actually pay.
Thank you. Dana? What will you do in your first 100 days in office? Besides whimper.
Thank you. Well, I think the first 100 days is we need to decide what we're going to do with the town hall. The bridges are going along already. The state is already doing the drawings for the new bridges and design work. They're going to supplement for 4 bridges. So that is being actually taken care of. We've already put the temporary bridge up, the emergency bridge up. So other than the money issue, that's done. But what we need to decide what we're going to do with the town hall. Do we go ahead and borrow the money? And the town's going to have to decide it. We're going to have some town meetings and have a town vote. What to do? At some point in time, we have to decide, do we go ahead and add to our indebtedness that we have already for the fire truck and the school and add to it? And in order to make the project the way it was designed and laid out, or do we throttle back, cut back 20% of the town hall? That's a decision that the town people need to be informed in, exactly what we would have to cut on to get the 20% savings on the town hall. Would we lose, the elevator, which we wouldn't do it, but the different parts of the town hall would have to be cut in order to save that 20%. So I think that's going to be the first job. And then the second would be also hiring someone to help build. Bill's a great gentleman, but he can't do this whole town. Come wintertime, we're going to be having snow and everything else on the road and icy roads. He's going to need help out there. So that would be my next thing I try to get done right away, would be getting Bill some help. Then I would look at that, and within 100 days, you have to start coming up with a budget for the next year. You start looking at where you are in January, how much you got left in your budget, and how much you need to maybe remove some dollars and cents from one place to another sense. So that would be my first 100 days would be mostly looking at the town hall. Thank you.
Thank you. Bart, you're next.
Yeah, so yes, we need to get the money for the bridges. So the first thing I would do is to try to reach out to state officials, our representatives, the governor's office, and the Department of Transportation and other departments that might be relevant to this, and build those relationships. As I said in the beginning, our relationship with the state is really essential to solving all of these problems. I would be very sad if we had to borrow money, but it is possible that we're going to have to confront that. So, as I said, the faster we can get this solved, the faster we can get help from the state, the better, because delay is going to cost us. Time is money with that. It's just inevitable. There's no way out of it. We certainly need the town hall renovations to happen. If you've been there lately, it's really depressing. And it does need to be accessible and ADA compliant. And that's just a necessity. We can't dodge that. I believe the position for the road crew has been advertised, or at least it will be before Gary leaves office. And we may, again, need a second position. So yes, we need to do that. The fire department is working on the merger with Canterbury, but as first selectman, I would certainly do what I can to help and facilitate that. But that has to happen within 6 months as well.
Thank you. Kim?
I mean, I think they're covering what really needs to be done right away. I would be seeking grants also at the same time. A lot of grants have cutoffs, and I think I would also be trying to figure out how we're gonna do snow removal with one man. So we have to, I mean, it's kind of the perfect opportunity to look into shared services in that department, because we don't have anyone at the moment. We'll be hiring people. I mean, I guess we do that anyway, but and the town hall, I'm against borrowing money. I mean, I'm always against borrowing money, pretty much. So, but in an emergency situation, yes. But for the town hall, probably no. I mean, I would cut the plan to structural issues and accessibility issues, and other stuff would have to slide because it just would. I mean, no one could have predicted this bridge catastrophe all at one time. So it just happened, and this is how small towns and all of you roll. You know, when things happen, you address them as they come. That's all you can do. That's all you can do is work with what you have and address them as they come. Thank you.
Thank you. Dana, you have a minute if you wish.
Thank you, sir. Yes, I agree with both my colleagues have said, but one of the things I would add to the town hall would be the fire code violations.
Yes.
Being the fire marshal in town, so much concern about that, and I've been writing them up for a number of years.
Absolutely.
And in fact, we could possibly end up closing the building because of the fire codes violations. That's always puzzling. So we need to move forward with the other thing and make it accessible and all the other type stuff. But I also like to say, we like my way to take care of the fire codes. But, and Bill, I said, I know right now, Gary and John Beck has been helping out. But we try to encourage John, I guess I try to encourage John to take the job, but he's no interest in taking the job full time. So, well, that would be something I'd be working on too, pretty much. Thank you. My time is up. Thank you.
Art?
Okay, so just to clarify, the point of borrowing money would be a short-term loan, so we don't lose the community investment fund grant for the town hall. And if we can pay it back in 6 months, it's not going to cost us a significant amount. But yes, a long-term loan would be really unfortunate, and I wouldn't want to do that. But then we would have a difficult problem, because we'd have to figure out what to do about the town hall. And it actually costs money to reduce the scope of the project, because you have to pay architects to figure out how to do that. So that would be really bad. But borrow a short-term loan, so we get the CIF money until the state comes through with the big check. That's something that I think is worth thinking about. But no, I don't want a long-term loan.
Thank you. Kim?
I don't want a short-term loan either. I wouldn't want a short-term loan either, because it's a gamble and we're not that lucky here. You know, I just wouldn't want to put us in that position, because if we don't pay it back, then
Oh, we'd pay it back. We'd have the money. We wouldn't have spent it yet. Pay it back.
Art?
All right.
This is a forum.
Okay.
Not a debate.
okay, well, I'm against borrowing unless I absolutely have to. If we have to, we have to, but I would avoid it at any cost if I can. So, thank you.
Now, this is the last question. You three candidates have 3 representatives right here representing you. They came up with this question themselves. And I will not allow time for a rebuttal. It's a single answer, no rebuttals.
2 minutes, right?
I don't think they can do 2 minutes with this
1 minute?
Give them a minute.
Okay.
Say something positive about the other 2 candidates. Bart, you're first.
Oh, okay. Well, I will say what they have said about themselves, really. I mean, Dana has been an essential part of this town for a long time. And his dedication to the town and everything that he's done is pretty obvious. The same is true of Kim. And she's actually been working with Gary on important projects. And nobody could possibly doubt the dedication and commitment of both of these people to the town of Scotland. So is that sufficient?
Thank you,
Hope so.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kim?
I will say that Dana is one of the nicest people I've ever known. He's just a genuine person. Really, just a genuine person. You can always count on him. If he tells you something, he means it. So just really a stand-up guy. And Bart is so sharp and so quick with the learning. He is so smart. So that's what I would say stand out to me about each of you.
Thank you. Dana, you're last.
Thank you. There again, I like to agree with him. I said Art very smart. He has lots of degrees, and apparently he has some real good expertise in grant writing, which would be helpful to the town. And say if I did get in there, I certainly would tap on that resource. Kim is actually another person, great, and she's very friendly and outgoing. And she's done a lot for the school systems, I understand, and she's done a lot for the town. And there again, sounds like she has a pretty good handle on that grant writing, so, I would even think at some point in time, maybe even if we had to pay someone to do grant writing, tap the shoulder. I personally am not a good grant writer. I have written them successfully, but it's not my forte,
I don't know if anyone loves it.
Yeah, I don't love it yet. I've done them and I've been successful in got grants. It's just not something I like to do. But I think you both are great people. And I want to thank you both for coming up here and volunteering your town. 6 months ago, we didn't have any volunteers for this job. And you both stepped up to the plate and I stepped up to the plate. So I think it's pretty, hats off to both of you two, for stepping up to the
Dana?
plate.
Thank you, Dana.
Your time's up.
Thank you, sir.
You went the whole minute.
All right.
I'm gonna give you a
Nice guy.
few seconds to collect your thoughts because we are done with questions. So the next item is you will have 90 seconds to say this is why you should vote for me or whatever you want to say for closing statements. So if the three of you have your thoughts collected and you're ready, Kim, you have 90 seconds when you're ready.
Well, thank you for listening to us. I think we're on the same page on a lot of things, and there's small differences and personalities, but we basically feel similar on a lot of topics. So here's my end of my opening statement that I didn't get to finish for you. I'm going to run down that if I am elected, these are my goals. The ones I missed were offer incentives to small businesses to come here, move the town forward with positive actions, and stop focusing on the negatives. That's a big one. I think all our meetings are circled around negativity lately, and actually always, mostly, and I think we need to really, really focus on our town's positive aspects to make people love us and the way that we love the town. And let's see, my door will always be open for anyone's ideas. If you want to do something to help our town, go for it. I'll do my best to support you, whether I'm elected or not. If you contact me and you want to do something for this town, I'm in. So I would listen to everyone's ideas on how to fix our town up. And I care about the town, the people who live in it. And for the same reason that I am unaffiliated and that I don't have signs, I'll do every single thing I can to help you all keep your money.
Thank you. Dana, 90 seconds.
Okay, I want to thank everybody who came here tonight and shown their interest in the town. And I want to thank the people who put on this forum. There's a lot of work went into it, a lot of planning, and I think it came out good. You got a chance for everybody to get a chance to meet us. Like you say, Tim said, we're all pretty much on the same page. Our town taxes are too high, we place is expensive, and we all like the way we live out here in a nice little rural area. But, and I've been the chance to meet many people over the volunteers, and I've met a lot of friends, But I also want to represent the town in Hartford. The state legislature, they have a tendency to make rules in the state legislature that works great for the cities, but doesn't work out here in a little country area, And I want to be the person to say, hey, us towns up in Eastern Connecticut, in the quiet corner, we're not a big city. We don't have a police department that we can call up in our front door in 3 seconds, or 3 minutes, We have to do a lot of our stuff. Everybody in this town got here because they worked hard and made themselves their living, and worked and paid their not rent, but paid for their mortgage. People here work hard, and they don't say to the government, please give me this. That may be a little bit different mindset in the cities. So I want, and they're used to that. I want to stay our type of system where we work hard, we teach our children, we have our goals. I think we should be the ones to tell our children what to do in life. I think parents should be parents, and Hartford, Big Brother doesn't need to know and tell us how to raise our children and how to raise it and conduct our business in our town. Thank you.
Thank you. Art?
Okay, so it was something of a revelation to me that all of this education and experience that I have in social policy and politics and environmental policy that I put to use over the years didn't really prepare me to think about this job. And it's really true that small towns and rural areas are not as important, I think, to the politicians in Hartford and Washington as the cities are. And I realize that now in a very personal and visceral way that I hadn't fully appreciated before. And I'm very happy to be living here. This is the right kind of place for me. And I want to do whatever I can, putting to work the experience and the skills that I have to make this town work as the town that it is, with, what degree of changes do need to happen, but that are still going to mean that Scotland is Scotland, and that it's a place that everybody can afford to live in, and that it's going to work for all of us. So
Thank you.
that's my.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
You do.
this concludes our first ever Grand Inquisition. I don't know about you, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd like to thank these people for sitting up there and taking these questions. I'd like to thank them for volunteering for a thankless, stressful job that can at times be very rewarding. But there are days they will take a hammer and beat themselves in the head going, why did I do this? So regardless of who wins, you will have my congratulations and my condolences. But thank you
Thank you.
for doing what you're doing. I'd like to thank all the people who volunteered to put this together. A lot of work went into put this together. I don't think we've ever done this before as a town, have we? I don't think we have. But it shows that volunteerism is very important. You all talked about it tonight, and it really is. And you have to remember this, that other than a few people working in the town hall, DPW, first selectman, everything else gets done by volunteers. School board, volunteers. Planning and zoning, volunteers. They don't even get mileage to drive to wherever they have to go. So the Facebook page was mentioned. Before you go on that Facebook page and complain and go, this should be done this way, ask yourself, what have I done to help the town of Scotland? We don't survive without volunteers. If we start paying everybody, watch what the mill rate does. So that's it. Gary is not here tonight. I'm going to speak for myself very briefly. Gary is not here. He is certainly going out to splash. Well, that fell flat, didn't it? I just hope that you take the time before he is done. I think he has about 3 weeks to go. I hope you take the time to just say thank you. I can't imagine the hours that he has put in the last 6 or 8 weeks to handle what was done. And that goes to you candidates also. Nothing will prepare you for something like that until you face it. So once again, thank you for coming. This concludes our first ever forum. I believe the candidates are going to stick around for a while and speak with whoever wants to speak with them and drive home safely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll tell you what, I came in. National debate, right. You can stay friends no matter what happens. I'm gonna stay friends with you. No matter if you get like.
I just want